wrote that bill in one day. My first time I ever was a chairman.
First
time I ever was a chairman.
You're welcome.
Remember every year when the director rehires everybody, and it's got it.
Of course, you're welcome.
I made a comment, I said, there's a director report. I said, if y'all will look at it, just read it. Ricky said,
You would read
well, I
along.
think we ought to read it.
I will read all.
That's for your.
People, I think they want to hear their name. I think they want to hear their name called out. And I had to go through every bit of it.
She said she might.
I won't forget that. And I guess it's Williams on his way. I hadn't heard from Williams. You heard anything from Williams? I guess we'll just
Go away, that's weird.
Little pig, let me in. Not by the hair of our chin, chin, chin.
Well, they've already made it around there again.
Crystal, unlock the door.
That door ain't unlocked.
There's a lot of people coming in. I won't let them in. Thank you. Come on.
There's William. Maybe it was by design or something. Somebody's knocking on the door. That's William.
Keep that mayor out, I believe.
Yeah, but that's okay. Hey, there's a lot of people that way.
How are you? You mean you didn't see that great carpet I brought out?
Hey. Hey. I didn't know you when you walked in, bro.
He's lost a lot of weight, hasn't
Look
he?
good, son. You look good.
Thank you. Had a little problem with diabetes.
Right, you look good, man. You look great. Like me, got a little bit of that gray, brother.
Huh?
You got a little bit of that gray like I do.
He's going.
Well, my son's a barber, so I had to have something in it. I want to give him a little business. On the bypass barbers. Hey, Taylor, have you heard about,
It was good. We had a big day. We, camp today. And it was beautiful and hot. Thankfully, Thursday, you know, they were predicting Thursday to be over 104. But now they're saying 95. Tomorrow's going to be 100. So I was worried about it.
7, 8 months, Bruce is out west, I think it's Bruce out west, I think so. All right, it's 6:31, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Opening session prayer will be given by Rick Dotson. Pledge of allegiance will be given by Miss Alice Reed.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you this great night to get this, Father. Everything we do tonight, Father, we ask to be pleasing to you first and foremost. We'll be in the better judgment for our children and our families in Overton County, Father. We just ask, Lord, I just ask you that you bless everyone that's here in attendance tonight, from the visitors to the director of schools. I ask a blessing on everyone. Father, I just ask you to forgive me for the failures. First in Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Let's pledge allegiance to our country's flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 4, approval of the minutes from the May 10th, 2022 meeting and May 16th, 2022 meeting. Both of those minutes were provided in your packet and the email that Crystal sent out. So moved by, or motion by Mitch Stonecipher, second by Dolphus Dahl. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Additions or deletions to the proposed agenda. I know from your agenda, we got a lot of year-end amendment, budget amendments, and Crystal has got some more. Then there's one other one here we need to add. So item number 6 will be approve employment matter concerning Ronda Wright. That will be number 6. Number 7 will be approve fiscal year 23 consolidated application for IDEA, ESSA, school year 22-23. If I need to repeat those, let me know. Item number 8 will be fiscal year 22, ELC Division 6. Item number 9, fiscal year 22, CTE Perkins Basic Revision number 8. So those are the 4 additions we need to add.
Will you say number 7 again, please?
Number 7, approve fiscal year 23 consolidated application for IDEA, ESSA, school year 22-23.
Thank you.
So need a motion to add those 4 items.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Rick Dotson,
Second.
second by Ms. Alice Reed. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 6, approval of the April 21st, 22 meeting agenda. Motion by Wayne Taylor, second by Jerman Hicks. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Under executive action, we'll do all 3 of these at once. Then we'll take a roll call since it's money. Number 1, approve the low bid of $15,151.90 from Murfreesboro Pure Milk Company Incorporated for ice cream and frozen products, July 1st through June 30th of 23. Number 2, approve the low bid of $21,398.12 from Institutional Wholesale for fresh produce, July 1st, 22 through June 30th, 23. Number 3, approve the low bid for $126,094.90 from Prairie Farms Dairy for milk and dairy products, July 1st, 22 through June 30th, 2023. If I'm not mistaken, these are the only companies that bid those items. Need a motion to approve the executive action. Motion by William Abston. Second. Second by Mitch Stonesifer. Crystal, we take a roll call. Money there.
Wayne Taylor,
Yes.
Mitch Stonesifer,
Yes.
Alice Reed,
Yes.
Jerman Hicks,
Yes.
Mike Hayes,
Yes.
Ricky Dodson,
Yes.
Dolph Style,
Yes.
and William Abston.
Yes.
8-4-0 opposed, motion passes.
Okay, moving on to consent items. These, I'll read all these again, and we'll just approve those at once on the consent agenda. Number 1, letters of retirement from the following: Bonnie Stapp as instructor at Livingston Academy, Kathy Sullivan as cafeteria manager at A.H. Roberts Elementary, and Phyllis Smith as custodian at Rickman Elementary. Those are in your packets as well. Number 2, letters of resignation from the following: Kim Dial as principal position at Hillham Elementary, Kelly Webb as instructor at Rickman Elementary, Taylor Garcia as instructor at Hillham Elementary, Andrew Goolsby as middle school baseball coach, and Courtney Whitaker as cheer coach at Wilson Elementary. Number 3, fiscal year 22 CARES Act, ESSER Revision 2. Number 4, fiscal year 22 Kinder Boost Grant Revision 1. Number 5, fiscal year 22 Carl Perkins Revision 6. Number 6, fiscal year 22 ESSER 3.0 Revision 2. This was approved in the May and updated due to the formula for increasing being zeroed out on the copied issue in your packets. Number 7, fiscal year 22 Central Cafeteria Fund Revision 2. Number 8, fiscal year 22 Central Cafeteria Fund Revision 3. Number 9, fiscal year 22 Title 1A Revision 8. Number 10, Title 2A Revision 8. Number 11, Title 4 Revision 8. Number 12, fiscal year 22 ARP IDEA Part B Revision 2. Number 13, fiscal year 22 ESSER 3.0 Revision 3. 14, fiscal year 22 ELC Revision 7. 15, fiscal year 22 Carl Perkins Revision 7. 16, fiscal year 22, Coordinated School Health Revision 4. 17, fiscal year 22, General Purpose Schools Revision 7. 18, fiscal year 22, Education Debt Service Revision 2. 19, Livingston Academy Volleyball Camp to be held July 11th through July 14th, 2022 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this will be paid for from the volleyball funds. Number 20, Livingston Academy Girls Overnight Camp, 6/5/22 through 6/8/22 at MTSU, and 6/15/22 through 6/17/22 at Shelbyville High School, and will be paid for with team funds. And all those revisions from the budget are the year-end amendment changes before the closeout on June 30th. And all those were in your packets as well, and the email that Crystal sent. Entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Rick Dodson, second by William Abston. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to new business, item number 1, consider approval for Wilson Elementary to add half-court concrete basketball court to be paid from Wilson's COVID loss allocation, and the concrete will be donated. So I'll entertain a motion. Motion by William Abston, second by, Miss Alice Reed. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, consider approval of related services contract, occupational therapy and physical therapy in Overton County School Systems for the 2022 and 2023 school year. This contract was in your packets as well. Motion by Jarman Hicks, second by Mitch Stonestoffer. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 3, consider approval of the contractual agreement between Overton County Schools and Deborah Curley, Communication Consultant, LLC, doing business as Sidekick Therapy Partners for speech therapy services for the 22-23 school year. Need a motion? Motion by Rick Dodson. Second by Mitch Stonestoffer. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 4, consider approval to lower age limit for middle school angler team that is currently approved for 5th through 8th grade. And I think Dr. Holman had got this request from Brandon Cross.
We're including 4th grade.
Okay.
How low are we gonna go?
I hope that's as low as we go. I had a little concern about 4th grade in that, but then after I spoke with Brandon, I felt much better about it. The parents are there, and then there's also some other person that's with them in the boat besides, so he assures me that it's going to be a safe experience, well supervised.
Motion by Ms. Alice Reed. Second by, William Abston. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 5, I'll run through all these. Consider approval of the following board policies as recommended by TSBA. I'm not going to read every single one of those. You can look at those, but those are basically just minor word changes based on the TSBA recommendations. This is our first reading, so there'll be the second reading next month if you want to take one or kind of pinpoint one out. I will say number 5.204 and 5.205 that are being deleted, those are recommended to be deleted because everything in those policies are already included in the 2 above, the 5.20 and the 5.201. So they just recommend delete those since all that verbiage is already included in those other 2 policies. So I'll entertain a motion to approve those. Motion by Rick Dodson, second by Mitch Stonestoffer. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on, item number 6, approve employment matter concerning Ronda Roth. So here, for the personnel matter concerning Ronda Roth, the chair recognizes Dr. Holman, Director of Schools.
I've distributed to you copies of the charges for the suspension of Ronda Wright, a tenured teacher at Overton County Schools, that I will give you a few moments to review. Based upon these charges as director of schools, I recommend a 5-day suspension for Mrs. Wright. I would also request that a copy of these charges be attached as an exhibit to the minutes of this meeting.
And that's what Crystal had emailed you all out earlier this week, that we just got the final notification, I think on Friday, from Mr. Cagle. So Dr. Holman has recommended the charges confirming a suspension for Ronda Wright, tenured teacher employed by this board. He has requested that she be given the opportunity for a hearing resulting from this suspension. The only decision that this board is charged with making at this time is that if any of these charges are true, suspension from service as a tenured teacher was warranted, and that Ms. Wright has the right to a hearing on those charges. Is there any discussion from anybody concerning this matter? Would any member like to make a motion? If any of these charges is true, that suspension from service was proper, and that Ms. Wright was Ms. Wright will be given notice of her right to hearing before a hearing officer, whom the director of schools will appoint.
She will have the opportunity for hearing. Is that correct?
That's what we're approving, yes.
Yes, sir, I'll make a motion.
Motion by Jordan Hicks. Second by Wayne Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Dr. Holmes, if you would, please notify Ms. Wright that the board has voted that if these charges are true, then the suspension from services was warranted. Please also give Ms. Wright notice of the right to a hearing of these charges, with the stipulation that her request for a hearing must be received by your office within 30 days of receipt of the notice. This notice should be provided to Ms. Wright by certified mail, return receipt requested by first-class U.S. mail, by personnel service, email, or by any other reliable and necessary means. I'm also directing that the copy of these charges of dismissal against Ms. Wright be attached to the minutes of the meeting of the board. Okay,
I'll take care of it.
thank you. So moving on to number 7, approval of fiscal year 23 consolidated application for IDEA ESSA school year 22-23. This was the last minute also on Friday that Crystal got, that we have to renew our application for the new school year. So any other update on that, Crystal?
No, it is just the whole application for all federal funds.
Entertain a motion to approve. Moved by, motion by Ms. Stonecipher, second by William Abston. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 8, fiscal year 22 ELC revision 6. Motion by Rick Dotson, second by Jarman Hicks. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 9, fiscal year 22 CTE Perkins Basic Revision number 8. Motion by Ms. Alice Reed, second by Dolphin Style. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. So now we'll move on to OCA recognition. Ms. Jennifer Islander.
Hi, guys and ladies. Happy summer. My advice to all the students and teachers in the county are don't blink, because it'll be over before you know it. And tonight I have for you some of that proverbial good news and bad news. So first I'm going to share the good news. I'm going to brag on the Overton County School Board as trendsetters, because the raise that y'all gave us has set a trend, and all of these surrounding counties have now also given their teachers raises. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. We're behind again. Sorry. Hope y'all have a wonderful summer.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. That's everything from our agenda. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Wayne Taylor, second by Dolphin Style. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Adjourned. Are everybody good with moving on to the work session?
Sure.
All right, so we'll move straight into the work session. The work session. You got another copy of the work session?
Yes.
Sorry, what did we change? Did we change?
I don't think the work session changed it, did it?
No.
Sure will.
I was gonna give you mine, sorry. I was trying to dig it out.
Well, there's only one.
Yeah, thank you. You can have mine.
So item number 1 on the work session, school safety review, review of the procedures, training, and committee meetings, review SRO contracts, duties, and training. I know Dr. Holman and I over the last 2 to 3 weeks have had a lot of discussion about this as far as him meeting with his staff, principals, updating safety plans. I know Dr. Holman has talked to Sheriff Garrett. He had a meeting today with Captain Smith with the Livingston Police Department to talk about that. And I do know Miss Jenny Smith, she's also over the safety committee. If anybody wants to be part of that, I've attended 1 meeting on it, and I'll make sure that you all are aware of the next one. I know during the safety committee meetings, we talk about everything safety related. She heads it up, I'm on there. We've got Mr. Laycock with SRO. There was a county SRO on there, Brent Thrasher, Steve Mosley was on there as well. So the next time that happens, I'll make sure everybody has the opportunity to attend that as well. But Dr. Holman, you got any updates?
I would like to say that, mention something he already has, that Ray Smith and I, we met today for probably an hour, and I feel like we're really on the same page. We're willing to do whatever we can to make our schools safer, and he and I just want to work together to make sure that we're not overlooking anything and that we're not letting anything slip. We want to make sure that everybody is on the same page as far as what is the procedures and the policies and the protocol to do and to be done for the safety of our schools. And I was happy with that meeting. I've talked numerous times also with Jenny Smith. I became aware of one program and she was aware of another one. So we're going to look into these 2 programs as possibilities of something that we might implement to help ensure the safety in our schools. And one of them, at least, I can talk to a little bit. It pertains to more or less like a timer system where someone would be going around and checking the perimeter of the building to make sure that all the doors are locked, making sure that and having a list of things that needs to be checked periodically. And then if they're not checked, then we're notified that the check wasn't done, that something is wrong, there's a stop, there's a problem that needs to be addressed. And if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not saying this wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, White County has bought into a similar program, and evidently there's numerous ones out there. But White County has already purchased one, and I don't think the expense is that great, but I just want the public to know that we're looking into and doing everything that we can to keep our children safe. And then one more thing, today we had a principals meeting. We had lots of things to discuss because we hadn't been together in several days. But we spent the majority of our time discussing all sorts of issues about school safety. And the situation that happened in Texas, they've gone back and forth to talk about what caused that and what allowed it. Was the door propped or was the door not propped open and so forth? But we all came together in consensus today that we know that is something that we as school employees are bad to do, is to prop a door open. But we are going to give it our 100% effort to make sure that there's never a door propped open, regardless of any reason for doing so. And that was just one of the many things that we discussed to try to ensure the safety of our students. Because we want to do everything we can, and we don't want there to be something obvious that we overlook, or that here's another thing. We don't want to assume that everybody knows the things that we're expecting to be done. You can't really assume that. We must make sure that that's communicated crystal clearly to everyone so that we're all on the same page. We know what we're doing and we know why we're doing it.
And it was about the SRO contracts. We made copies and put in your packet as well with those. So correct me if my figures are wrong, but the city of Livingston They provide, we've got 2 at Livingston Academy, we've got 1 at AH, she goes to Reach as well. We've got 1 at Livingston Middle School. So for the city, between our grants and general purpose, we get a large portion of that in a grant. It's about $100,000 for those 4. In the county, we have a contract with the county that we pay for 2 at $17,500 a year, but we are providing 4 for all of our schools. So I think the last 2 months of school, there was 1 out on leave, and they were splitting back and forth, and I think Allen's and Hillham were splitting, but everybody else was, when that person gets back from leave, every school will have a full-time SRO, and Livingston Academy has 2 SROs there. So, but those contracts are in there. And if I'm not mistaken, and I think Dr. Holman's had conversations with Captain Smith and maybe Sheriff Garrett, the grants that we get through our school system to pay for SROs, starting next year, that has to be applied for by the police department, the city police department and the sheriff's department to get that funding, and I think they've been made aware.
I spoke with both of them, one of them this week and one at the end of last week. So I spoke to them.
So they're aware of that for the funding portion, so.
Dr. Holman, my question is have we looked to see what the SRO officers' responsibilities and tasks, how do ours compare to other counties? For instance, Putnam County, the SROs there, do they have the same responsibilities and tasks that they have in Overton County?
I really can't answer that. We've not really looked at comparing us to another district, but that's a great idea to do that. What I've been talking with them about is making sure that what we expect of them is done thoroughly all the time. But that is a good idea. There may be some good ideas we could get from another district. So we could look into that. We'll look into that.
And the other thing is we're talking about doors and being propped open. If you had doors with alarms that were left open for a certain period of time and those alarms sounded, like in Texas, the teacher allegedly propped the door open. Had there been an alarm on that door that would have alerted other staff, they could have closed that door possibly. But I mean, that's something that I'd like for us to look into, just what options are there that wouldn't be cost prohibitive to harden the schools.
And I agree with that. And those the 2 programs that that Jenny Smith and I are looking into, I think one of them has that provision in it. So, and I'll give you more information on that once I know more about it.
And can you ask Ms. Smith next time she has that meeting, just to, I'm sure she'll let me know on the committee. I'll let everybody else know as well. So.
I'll do that.
While we're speaking about this, Mayor Hayes, first off, we do appreciate the police department for what they do for our schools. Is there anything from the Board of Education that the city needs, and don't say money, to help them in their needs?
And real quick, sorry, and I should have said this earlier, and he can chime in too. When I was meeting with him last week, he does have a list on his desk that Chief Etheridge gave him of their needs as far as what we can, and he's actually checked most of those off, but I'm sorry, Al.
Yeah, so I didn't come here tonight to discuss that, but I am prepared. Dr. Donnie Holman and I have had conversations. Jarman, I know you're probably familiar with the COP Fast grant, and that's something that we're looking into to add. Hopefully, I just found out about that through Dr. Holman. Talked to Captain Smith about it today, and I know that Chief Etheridge will be in support of it as well. And if you're unfamiliar with the COP Fast grant, it is simply the way it was structured the last time that we did it with the city of Livingston is the state of Tennessee, or the grant pays 100% of the first year, and then it falls off down. The second year maybe 50%, the third year maybe 25%, with the understanding the fourth year that law enforcement agency will pick up that officer, okay? Now, it's not a guarantee, it's kind of frowned upon if it doesn't happen, but in the past, we've always honored that. So we'll be looking into, in fact, I told Captain Smith today to find me that grant and we're going to apply. So if that is successful, that will help more boots on the ground is always what we need. We want to make sure that we're providing as much as safe protection as we possibly can within the city limits of Livingston, and that's always been our goal. I think we also gave a list to Dr. Holman on any concerns that we had inside the school district within the city of Livingston schools, and I think, as Chairman Hayes said, that I think all of them, or a high percentage of them, have been addressed and as wanted, and they came a long ways. But we think that it's always important to give an assessment to the school system and then work on it as they can. So as far as things needed, I mean, gosh, you know, if we all had a crystal ball, you know, and could predict the future, I could probably say a lot of things. But we're happy to serve the school system. We're happy to be in an interlocal agreement with Overton County Board of Education. Our officers are committed to the safety and well-being of our students here and in the schools inside the city, and we'll continue to do that. So it's just an honor to be able to have a good local agreement, interlocal agreement, and to work with you folks.
Thank you, Mayor Hay. Any other questions? All right, you good with Dr. So we'll move on to item number 2, discuss director evaluation. The results are as follows. By category, board relations, 4.75, community relation, 4.79, staff and personnel relations, 4.64, educational leadership, 4.89, business and finance, 4.78, strategic learning skills, 4.61, with a composite score of 4.74 overall. So everybody had the opportunity to complete that, sign that, if you felt you wanted to sign that, and an opportunity if you want to meet with Dr. Holmes one-on-one to discuss any notes that you had. But you know, per law and per policy, we've completed our evaluation, and these are the results from it. And like I said, if anybody wants, you know, feels a need to meet with Dr. Holmes one-on-one, then you know, meet with Dr. Holmes on that. So, any questions on that? Number 3, discuss core drilling results. This is in your packet as well. I'll try to be fast. So everybody should have a copy of the TTL core drill results that we did on Dr. Mason's land. So if you're looking at this, then everything in the red dots was everything that was core drilled, the holes that were drilled. You got a copy? The red dots are the holes that was drilled. This was the projected area that later down the road, if we do put a track on that land, of where the track would go. The 2 blue marks are sinkholes that they found. So looking at this map, their recommendation, hey, if we decided to put a track here, we can move the track over to the right slightly and miss that sinkhole to the left there at the bottom. It looks like a parking lot at the end, or the end of where the track would start. But they said the sinkholes wasn't nothing that's uncommon for this area, that, you know, they're found quite often, and that their recommendation would be, there's nothing they see that would recommend us not from purchasing that land, that they would highly recommend that once we started the construction and we got to that point with our building program and we wanted to do that, to have a, I think I put it on here, a spring to fall time period for the grading because of the clay. The condensation in the ground, it's easier to work with spring to fall. If you wait, it's a lot harder to work with on that. And once we do that and start doing the project, they'd recommend you know, a site surveyor on site. That way, if they did run into a sinkhole, and put in money in a contingency if we run into a sinkhole, money to fill that up if we needed to fill that up. But based on everything they saw from the core drilling, they do not see anything that's uncommon for this area, and they felt like that everything would be good, other than a lot of grading and topsoil coming off based on the lay of the land. So, and we've already approved this as a board. I think the county commission meets what day? 27th. So it was on the education committee last month. So the county commission, once they approve our amendment, then if everybody's good with that, after that, Dr. Holman, we can sit down with Dr. Mason and proceed with. The purchase and the deed and everything. So Any other questions on that?
If we do move this to the right, then there might be the necessity of more core drilling, but there not.
Well, they core drilled all the way around,
Mhm.
so you can look at the far right end. They did a core drill there.
Sure.
There's very little area up to the right. I mean, there's a possibility.
You do, okay.
There's a possibility you can find another sinkhole there. That's why they recommend having a surveyor on site just during the grading part, and having contingency money in case it need to be
Right.
filled up.
Okay.
So, any other questions? All right, if not, we'll move on to update on the Livingston Academy Football Stadium. So we have a meeting once a month, third Wednesday of the month. Last meeting we had was last week, I believe. So everything's going according to plan at this moment. Mid-State Construction has until July 31st to get the lighting, the scoreboard, and the bleachers up for us to be able to play our first home game there. The scoreboard, if you haven't saw the frame on it, recommend driving by it. It's massive. A lot bigger than I thought it would be, but it looks really nice. That's just the frame. The scoreboard is on site. It's staged on the pad. The visitor bleachers are going to go on. The lighting, I think, is going to be late this week. It'll be delivered, I think they said, for the lighting. The bleachers, that's kind of putting us at the very edge. They're going to be delivered July 25th. And because of the steel issues, because they've got issues getting steel, because the home side bleachers has to have the beams where it's so tall. But they still say that we're going to be right there on the edge of being able to be ready to go. Did tell Coach Flatt and Miss Maxwell, as a contingency backup, kind of keeping you back pocket. Our first game is away against White County. Our second game is September 2nd, home against Cookeville. Kind of look at that as looking at Tech or something for that first home game. But Mid-State Construction, as far as their end, they're on track to get that phase done. Just remember that phase 1 is lighting, scoreboard, bleachers. Phase 2, concession stand and things of that nature will be later on down the road. We'll just have to, Dr. Holman, if you would, get with Mr. Melton and maybe their booster clubs. They'll have to start a conversation now about concessions as far as if they want to throw a tent up, cook on a grill, because that building won't be done in time. And we knew that, going into that. But I think everything's going according to plan so far. Hopefully there's no kinks that throws in with supply issues or anything at the last minute. So, any questions on that? Item number 5, discuss naming of LA baseball field in accordance with policy 3.210, naming buildings and ancillary facilities. And that was included, I think, in your packets as well, the policy. So Mayor Hayes had reached out to me, and I think Dr. Holman as well, about naming the baseball field after Coach Swallows. And according to Air Board policy, that anytime we want to name a building or a facility or any entity, Air Board policy is that we'll appoint a committee, a couple board members, community members, and staff members. Then once that committee meets, they'll bring back name recommendations to the board, and the board would approve. Mayor Hayes.
Yeah, and I'm here just as a student athlete of Livingston Academy, not mayor's capacity. I'm going to be real clear on this. But after watching several games over the years and being a baseball sponsor at Livingston Academy, I played, sorry to believe, nearly 30 years ago. But I've had a conversation with Coach Jamie Loftus, LA baseball coach, had a conversation with Coach Pat Swallows, and they both just embraced this. The LA Booster Club, Baseball Booster Club embraced this, along with Principal Richard Melton. So I know there's a process. I did talk to Dr. Holman, I did talk to Chairman Michael Hayes, and I just got, and I'm going to hand these out to you individually here in just a minute, but it just, head coach Swallows just drafted up something, just said when I started teaching at Leeds Academy in 1969 through 70, LA did not have a baseball program. With the support of the school board, I started the baseball program that year. Coached 35 years, 9 district championships, 2 region championships, 2 sub-state appearances, 10 plus players went on to play college. 1 player drafted into Major League Baseball. I helped build the field from the beginning, In the mid-'80s, we started a building program that included the first indoor batting cage in the Upper Cumberland. I was proud of that. We built brick dugouts, press box, concession stands, bathroom, tickets booth, along with a metal fence, a complete makeover of the field surface. We had a total cost of $100,000. We had contributions from our community and the school board. Louise and I made monthly payments until the debt was fully paid in 2016. The field was named State Field of the Year, but most importantly, over the years, hundreds of students were able to play baseball on a field they could be proud to call home. I started the baseball Coaching Association in 1992 and have continued to serve as the executive director for over 30 years. 2006, I was inducted in the Tennessee Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. I've been assistant director of Tennessee Athletic Coaches Association for the past 10 years. This just goes on to tell you just a little bit about the mission. Talks about the mission of Tennessee Baseball Coach Association is to unify efforts for coaches, players to achieve their highest potential by providing educational opportunities and increased exposure. There was more with this. I have with it in the packet a letter from LA Baseball Booster Club that was signed in and by the parents. Also have a letter here from Coach Jamie Loftus and also Principal Coach, or excuse me, former coach, but Principal Richard Melton. And I'll share that with you, and I know that there is a committee probably, but still I wanted you to see it, if I may, Chair, and hand these out to you. And that way you can look it over, think about it, whatever you need to do. As a former student athlete under Coach Pat Swallows, if I didn't think he did a heck of a job, I wouldn't be here in front of you, even though he probably ran me to death when I was there, but I probably deserved every bit of it. I've since apologized to all my teachers, but there you go.
And according to our policy, I'll ask now a couple board members to volunteer to sit on that committee. Mitch Stonesoffer and Jarman Hicks. Mitch, you care to chair that? So Mitch will chair that committee with Jarman, and Mayor Hayes, if you would, maybe get a couple more community members. Then Dr. Holman, you get a couple staff, preferably Livingston Academy. Then Mr. Stonesoffer, if you would, just send a text out to let know when you're all going to meet about that. Then their next meeting in July, if you can get it in time, that'll be July 12th. Then we'll have a recommendation of the name back to put on the agenda for the July 12th meeting. So, any questions on that? Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your consideration.
Item number 6, discuss possibility of suspending policy 1.200, method of election of officers through August 31st, 2023 due to current building programs and upcoming elections. I think Mr. Taylor brought this up. Last meeting, we had kind of talked a little bit about it, then talked about first changing the policy, then suspending it. I know with the upcoming election, the next rotation would be District 2 to Allens. Then I think the next candidate will be on there, have an opportunity to accept or deny that after he'd had a year on the board. Personally, I just want to say, I'm the chairman now. It makes no difference to me personally, however we move with that. But our current policy says that we'll rotate year to year. So I think after we talked last month, then this conversation came up, said, you know, instead of going back and changing it, because we already changed it once, maybe suspend it for a year, then start the rotation
I wasn't asking to change policy, simply suspend this rotation just for 1 year. And that's because of the building program and everything that's going on. You've been heavily involved in that from day one. I just think it would be the intelligent thing, best for everyone, if you continue as the chairman for another year.
And then you're talking about the end of our next cycle, we just pick up the rotation.
Sure.
And I don't, the way I look at it is we don't even really have to suspend the policy. We have the board members here that are here, and the way the policy is written, if I'm not wrong on that if both board members do not decide which they want to be, it will pass to the next. So we can agree that we're going to pass it back to him. we won't have to suspend the policy, and it can go straight back to him, and the rotation will continue the way it is, and we will not have to suspend any policies. We can just agree that it's going to go back to District 1 next year, and we'll go from there for 1 year. And then it'll rotate right back.
Whatever's right.
It'll start with District 2 again.
Okay, that's great.
So as long as
If we can
everybody's
do it
fine with
every
that.
year.
You should ask Jeremy if he's sure he wouldn't want to.
Well, we can make sure it's now on the next board.
Yeah, that's something, just think about it before, that's why I put it on the work session, just think about doing that. I told Mr. Taylor when he brought it up, I said, I kind of feel bad about bringing it up, because I don't want people to have the perception that
We
I'm the
don't.
one that's
We don't.
wanting to change it, because
No, it's me.
No, and I agree, you have been over all that stuff and everything through this, and you know more about it than any of us. And with the policy, the way it's written, it gives us the opportunity that if everybody agrees, we can just pass it right along, won't have to suspend it at all.
But I think if whoever, when it comes to their time, if they want to be chairman, they should. And like in Wayne's case, with him just being all the year, that'd give him another year and just take off.
Are you talking about the new person?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, if the new person, if we left it with him, then at his first meeting, he would become the chair.
yeah, that's why they said,
I'm sure he'd do it.
like we talked about for a year, then that way he would have a year on the board and have the opportunity to turn it down or accept it after a year.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I can't do it, I'm saying I don't want to. I think it would be better for him to continue to do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think
everybody's-
we are at a crucial point right now with a lot of things going on.
Right.
All right, any other questions on that? So move on to item number 7, and 8 combined. I'll just combine both of them, classroom audio enhancement update and online registration update. Dr. Holmes?
I just wanted to mention these two things to you because the first one involves quite a bit of money, the ESSER money. But the audio enhancements is the program that we're going to be buying for all the classrooms in K-4 district-wide, which is supposed to increase achievement. And we're kind of going to do a test of that to see if it does. The teachers that have had these piloted in their rooms are extremely impressed with it, and says that it helps the students and it helps them both. So that's going to be K-4, but we didn't want to leave the middle school and the high school out, so we're putting some at those schools as well. And we're trying, at the middle school, we're going to put one in each grade level, so that they'll have some as well, even though it's a K, we're aiming in K-4. And then at the high school, we are going to put this audio system in the library and at the mini theater. So then when someone wants to go into the mini theater and have be able to speak or have a talk or a meeting, there will not be the big need to have so much audio system set up. They'll be able to pick up that lanyard and go. Just turn it on and speak into the lanyard. So I hope that'll make life a lot easier and simpler and much more effective.
Have we already received these?
I don't know that we've received them, but they're ordered. I don't know if we've received them or not.
Okay.
Like I said, I think it's my understanding, I'd want to double check with Brent, but I believe they're in hopes of having them installed, I think, before school starts. I could be wrong, but I believe I'm right. The next thing is something that I'm happy about. I'm really happy about our online registration. I know all of you know we have roughly 3,100 students in our district, and we've already pre-registered 2,600 of them. So on registration day, when we have that this fall in August, that will be for students, the students here that did not register already, and for any student that's coming in from outside the district. This has really helped our administrators to be able to look and see and plan who they're having to, who's coming back and so forth. So this is helping a lot with planning, and it's also been so much easier on the parents. So, and I've had parents ask me about this for years and years, and I'd like to brag on Brent Thrasher and Christy Miller for all that they did to get this going. I'd also like to brag on each one of the schools, because there's some people that are not as computer savvy as others, like me sometimes, and anyone that's needed assistance with that, each school has come up with something different to help any parent that would like to have assistance with doing the online registration. So, everybody has really worked together on this, and I think it's been a win-win all the way around.
And just some reminders here, the Overton County Board of Education scholarship winners that was given away in May, those two were Haley Sagers and Emma Sadler. So I'll let you know who the recipients of those was. Then Crystal texted out or emailed one about the upcoming meetings. So if you're interested in Summer Law Institute, July 21st to the 23rd in Gatlinburg, and the TSBA convention in November. So if you're interested in those, just get with Crystal on that. We'll go around and see if anybody has anything else before we're done. Rick?
I want to thank all of our retirees, thank Philip, Ttl Quarter County Commission for being here today.
Sir. John? Nelson? Lee? Doc? Wayne? Salas? Mitch? Dr. Holmes, you got anything else?
I'd like to say what they said. The ones that have retired, we really appreciate all that they've done for the students of our district for so many years. We really appreciate each one of them.
All right, that's it. Our next meeting will be July 12th, 6:30. Thank you.